Welcome back to Regular Secular Mama, homeschooling mom of 2 upper elementary school kids, here with a quick look at how I teach a really tricky 4-level sentence analysis from Michael Clay Thompson. Okay, so we'll start with finding all of our parts of speech. That's the first level of the 4-level sentence analysis. So this one is kind of tricky because it's not super clear what all your nouns are and your verbs. We have things like verbals that are used as different parts of speech. So with my son, we had a little bit of a hard time with this sentence, and I kind of walked him through in a different order than we normally would. Normally I start by finding all the nouns, finding all the verbs, and then all the modifiers. So on this one, I had him start with just anything he knew right away. And he knew right away that there were articles or article adjectives. We go ahead and label them as articles because they help us see nouns that might be harder to see. What else did he know? He knew right away that she is a pronoun. And he was able to see the verb is. He got a little stumped because he saw fishing, and then he realized, but fishing is modifying something else. So he realized that was not a verb. But is a verb, and that is our only verb. Then we went back through the sentence one word at a time to try to figure out what the word was actually doing. So Michael Clay Thompson does a great job of emphasizing that parts of speech are labeled that way because they have a function in the sentence. For example, fishing, he was able to see that fishing is modifying something, and we realized that the thing it's modifying is actually a noun. So right there, we labeled another noun, and then because it's modifying a noun, we label it as an adjective. Even though it looks kind of like a verb, we can see that there is nothing in the sentence that is doing this action. This is modifying a noun, so it's an adjective and not a verb. And then we came back here and realized that articles set up nouns, and we had a little side lesson on that. An article will always set up a noun, even if there are modifiers or something in between. You may have like the pen or the black pen, but there will always be an article with a noun. So he was able to see then that this is acting as a noun. It's naming a thing, the winner. And then last we found of, which is kind of a tricky preposition, but it is showing a relationship between the winner and the contest. All right, so now that we had all of our parts of speech, that makes the rest of these levels of sentence analysis much easier. Next, we move on to the parts of the sentence. That's our subject and our predicate. So first, because we were able to find where the nouns were, that made it much easier to see that the subject is the winner. Now, it was still a little tricky for him to see that, so we skipped subject and went straight to the predicate. The predicate is always going to be a verb, so that was a really easy one. Is a linking verb predicate. It's not showing action, it's showing a link between two things. So because we have our predicate here, we must have a subject that is being linked to something else. It's either going to be the winner is she, or the contest is she. Knowing that, we were able to see that winner was our subject. And then I always tell them a linking verb predicate may sometimes have a, and they answer, subject complement. This one does have a subject complement, and that is she. If you're working with pronouns, this is a really good way to pull that lesson up again and say, okay, why are we using she and not her? Because it's a subject complement, you use a subject pronoun. Once we have parts of speech and parts of sentence, finding the phrases and clauses are really easy, especially in the island level, because the only phrases you have are prepositional phrases, and they are all pretty much independent clauses. So we found our prepositional phrase here. And I always tell them that a prepositional phrase is always going to begin with a preposition, and it will have a noun, and it may have some modifiers, but it will never have a verb. And then our clauses, this is just one long independent clause. And then verbally, I always try to figure out if they can tell what kind of a sentence this is, whether it's a declarative sentence, interrogative sentence, exclamatory sentence, or imperative sentence. And this one is a simple declarative sentence. So that's just how I would go through a very tricky, sometimes confusing sentence with them. We just go a little bit out of order and look for the things we do know that may give us clues for the things we are having a hard time seeing. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Thank you. See you next time.